Ever read any Wuxia fiction? Plenty. You might notice me griping about it a bunch and or making fun of it a bunch. Suffice to say, I've run into a couple that are good. Most of them run the same exact problems that I hate. And a lot of amateur fiction, I think. Where you always have kind of the super badass main character that might also be the young master that's just dunking on everybody that possibly even, you know, so much as offends them for any reason. And the rest of the supporting cast is about as flat as cardboard. There are a couple that are good. Most of them are bad. It's very much like, I don't even have a good descriptor in my head. Like, they're not terrible. It's just, they got issues. What do I do? Let's go get this waypoint while we're here. Swing by and grab it. Let's see. Do you have an example of a good and a bad one? Most of them are bad from my perspective. There's a couple that start good and kind of go bad slowly. Gosh, which ones did I read? The problem is they all have weird names, so it's a little easy for me to totally forget the names of them. But I did see somebody saying, I want to see a manga or an anime with a really old protagonist. Not exactly that old, but look up Bard Lowen. I don't actually think that's the name of the manga, necessarily. But, if you search Bard Lowen, you should get it. Loen. And it's about a retired, like, knight captain that effectively just decides to retire and adventure around the world. Older protagonist. No romance, at least not from the chapters that I read. And extremely good writing. And it's a lot of, like, political intrigue. And world building. Where the character... He's pretty dang good, but he's not, like, invincible. And it's kind of more about him using his intelligence and abilities to get through. As opposed to, you know, classic anime tropes of just, like, friendship and so on and so forth. There are a few kind of I retired mangas, but they get a bit tropey. That's one that I can think of. There probably are more than I know about, but I find most manga gets kind of tropey anyway. Even the best ones are incredibly tropey. They just pull it off well. So he retires from city guard post to full-time adventure? Kind of. More like vacationer that just goes on adventures because he can't escape his past? I guess his past. Because effectively people are trying to influence him and control him because he's a major player in the political scene? Question mark? I don't even know. I'm not great at summarizing stories. One way or another, though, absolutely fantastic series. From what I saw. Other one that I really liked recently was The Wolf Can't Sleep? Or Won't Sleep, or something like that? Let's see. That one has an adult protagonist. And, well, it definitely has some tropes. It's pretty solid. I don't think there's a whole lot of chapters on that one. But from what I saw of it, it was quite good. What other ones are there? I mean, I will always rep Dungeon Meshi. Not exactly adult protagonists. Well, yeah, absolutely adult protagonists. Not old ones. But adult and... not tropey? Gosh, if there are tropes, I don't even notice it's that well written. I guess most recently, the one I've really been enjoying is Monster Number 8. I don't know how many people keep up with new Shonen Jump series, but that one has impressed me. It's very tropey. But it's like every single trope does not feel cheap. And almost kind of reminds you why tropes are tropes, because it's handled so well. Yeah, The Wolf Won't Sleep. 14 chapters currently translated. Yup, they're all pretty good. Oh no, we're not done yet. Let's see. I think this is a timed challenge. Oh.
Not so hard.
This is really awkward. Get off the thing. Oh, okay. Well, I succeeded. That was, I think, the most clumsy climbing I've ever done in a video game. Worked. Alright. Let's see. Where's this? There it is. Overlord's entertaining, but very typical for the power fantasy isekai. Yeah, and he's the bad guy gimmick. There are a couple of Overlord-style ones that I actually really have enjoyed. But yeah, the tropes tended to get a little old after a little while. I'd much rather see a series where the evil Overlord is starting from scratch. And it isn't just like, okay, I liked how, Rimuru handled it in, I'm a Slime, so what? Flip side, it got a little bit, I don't want to say he got a little overstrong. But I kind of lost the stakes for it after a while. It was still charming, don't get me wrong. But it was definitely kind of... I don't know, I lost my investment in it. Oh, you're thinking of I'm a Spider, so what? You're right, you're right. Let's see, I was... Oh, it was that time I was reincarnated as a slime. There we go. Yeah, I get those two mixed up because I read them simultaneously. Because that was... Way back when I was, first... I guess, starting this channel. I was living at home with my parents. Did that kill it? Not even close. Oh, interesting. You can actually get the flaming flower stem off of those. Okay, that's cool. I don't think slime was ever really about power. Everything felt more like slice of life to me. I guess. I kind of wish it was... How would I describe it? I think it just felt too easy, was the big issue. Let's see. Hey, Paradox, you want to ban that person, please? I guess I can get it. Really wish there was a report. Ah, there it is. Let's see. There we go. That's annoying. Just somebody being like, do you want subs? We got subs, buy subs. Or views or viewers, or heck if I know. But, you know, just kind of the spam bot messages that are just, you know, pay us money and we'll give you fake engagement. I hate those. They're completely pointless. I'm assuming most people know this by now, but if you start a channel on YouTube or Twitch, never, ever, ever even entertain the thought of buying buying subs. It's not worth it. Alright. Shell, stop backseat commenting. Let's see. Kind of awkwardly. Unfortunately, these guys have a goofy amount of HP. Mainly, they just knock me around. Actually, I should probably switch back to Noelle so we can start healing. Well, that was pointless. It's fine. It'll be off cooldown. Yeah, slime mistakes past the initial setup are mostly personal, which I can kind of understand. It just, it felt like everything was just earned too easily. You know, everybody was too friendly and too easygoing, and everything always worked out. Which is fine, but it just felt like a series of very convenient Deus Ex Machinas that were well set up, but confusing. Anyway, to explain why you don't buy subs, I mean, I don't even know why this is, needs explaining, but effectively buying viewership on Twitch, it just gets you fake numbers, then it might get you banned, but what you want is actually that audience to stick around. It should be obvious. Unless there's sub sandwiches. And even then, like, really depends on the sub place. I was reading the other day that, was it Scotland? It was either Scotland or Ireland or something were regulating against Subway because their bread is has too much sugar content in it, which I actually had no idea about. Right. And then it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's kind of gross, actually. Yeah, so I think the bread that Subway uses is considered a pastry in Scotland, and I think that's a very justified position, because yeah, bread shouldn't actually be that sugary. Let's see, what about plain swordsman is the strongest? Actually, I've kind of... Shell's gonna disagree with me on this one, but I've heavily cut back on the amount of manga that I've read in the past year or so. I've been too distracted by other things, so I don't actually know about that one. So you would recommend RE0. I was talking about this the last time. The problem with RE0 that I encountered was in the first X number of arcs, it was mostly female characters, and they were really pushing the waifu tropes a little hard. And I get it, like, that's, at this point, that's normal. But it feels real skeezy to me. All the same. Because I like the idea. Yeah, interesting concept, mediocre execution. I will absolutely agree on that one. Because it's not that the story is necessarily bad, it's just that, like... Let it rain. It's hard to take seriously.
With the wind.
Let's spark things up a little.
Okay, so this one's going to be a little tougher.
Time to clean up. Steady as stone.
Than the others. We should be able to heal the entire party this way, though. There we go. Yeah, check out Mother of Learning. Yup, I rep that every time. Because I find Mother of Learning was exactly what I wanted out of RE0. Maybe a little bit too esoteric and a little bit less full character focused. It focused on a number of characters, it just didn't focus on all of them. Whoops. Shoot. And I realize that's the... Why? Okay, no missiles here this time. Oh. I broke his shit.
Leave it all
Alright,
to me.
here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to be told to aim for the face, guys. It's super obvious. I know it's nice to try and help, but it always... to be honest, it always feels mildly condescending. And also just kind of... Gosh, how do I put it? Question. Nope, I have no idea. Infantilizing. Kinda. Ah. Trees do not block missiles. Chaos device. What was the game that if you actually hit the enemy in the head, they would get really pissed at you and start attacking harder? Oh, I can't remember the name of that game. Like the Ascendance of a Bookworm. I liked it, but it took a while. I'll also admit, I kind of bounce off a lot of isekais that it's just like, I'm going to introduce modern tech into this fantasy world. What could go wrong? And the answer is, actually pretty much nothing goes wrong, but it just feels weird.
My.
I give up. There we go. It's... I guess the problem is the, like, I'm going to introduce, like, modern warfare techniques, modern tech, modern books. Like, it can be kind of fun, but the character, one, always has a weirdly encyclopedic knowledge, like a conveniently encyclopedic knowledge of tech, like whatever the tech is, and it usually ends up in kind of direct contrast to whatever the world's tech is, with, like, maybe a couple of exceptions. So Ascendance of a Bookworm did it relatively well, where she was trying to make do with, you know, the tools that she had available. I guess it just feels cheap. I want to see a gosh. I've seen a couple of isekais like this, but I'd rather have the ones where it's like, instead of just making, like, let's make a refrigerator using, you know, just a basic cold magic stone, and everybody's like, whoa, why'd we never think of this before? It's like, no. Somebody absolutely would have thought of this a long time ago. You know, same thing with plumbing. It's like, there's a small chance that somebody would not have figured this out before the main character comes along, and it's just like, what if we flush our poop? And everybody else is just like, you are a god among men. And it's like, no, you're not. You're just some guy that shows up with cheat knowledge, and that somehow makes them special. I'm like, maybe if there was the payoff of, like, the moment where they run out of their basic understanding of how the world works, and then they're just, everybody's looking at them for being this genius inventor, and they don't have anything left. You know, they ran out of the basics, they figured out how to make curry, everybody loves them, and then the veil is pulled away and everybody realizes, like, oh no, this character is actually really boring. He just knew about this stuff and just stole the idea and pretended it was his own. Dr. Stone, I think, is the only example I can think of where the character is capable of jury-rigging everything no matter what. And it works fine because, one, it's not a fantasy world, it's just kind of world back to the Stone Age-ish. There. Is it above? Probably directly below me. I have no idea. Like, how many of you would know how to make a functional, I'd say, water purification or a fridge system that actually works? Apart from just saying, like, I'm going to use magic to make a fridge. Because I'll be honest, like, from memory, I could probably invent a basic water wheel, like, windmill system, but that's pretty low-tech. A bicycle. I could at least push somebody in the right direction on how to make the basics of an airplane. Oh, there it is. Wow, that's dirty. Let's see, what else could I make? I could probably make an amount of, like, war tech. Just because I've been around it for forever. But some part of me really would not want to share that with people unless I knew it was a good idea. Because, like, how shitty would it be... How bad of an idea would it be if you were like, I'm going to teach, you know, the kingdom I'm allied with how to make guns? And it's like, okay, congrats. You've now given this world, you know, firearms. And now everybody's going to be fighting over probably the production of it and scaling up the use of it. And if the society hasn't grown to advance, you're probably going to see a lot of bloodshed real quick, real fast. Yeah, suddenly tyranny. Yeah, exactly. And so in all of these stories that I always read, I get this thing in the back of my head where I'm just like, I mean, it kind of works, but you would think there'd be some shithead that would absolutely take this from themselves and royally screw over the main character. Even from like a base example that I can think of, it would be whoever is the main character's patron would probably just start monopolizing them and their ideas, give them none of the credit, and once, you know, they've stolen everything, then they just kick him to the curb and never speak with him again because they've already gotten all of this stuff. Hello! Show the interest in storms. What are you doing? Okay. Oh, so she's a storm watcher, just looking for tropical storms. Tell me about your family. Wow, there's a lot here. He's taught me how to make... Oh. Barbados Ratatouille. Alright, I'll take it. Oh. There's a rock with cracks in there. It's fine. I'll find it at another time. Let's see. But that I find myself craving that kind of real-world approach. Not because I want the story to be darker, but because your characters are only ever as good as the villains or the challenges that they're up against. And so if it's too dang easy, your characters are weak. Or the villains just seem dumb, and therefore your writing seems bad. So for example, like, you can make this earth-shattering, you know, crazy dragon, but, well, okay, here's a good example. Squirrel Girl beating, I think, both Galactus, and Thanos. Like, it's kind of a fun meme, but if you sat down and actually thought about it for a while, it's like, yeah, that's super dumb. How does that happen? And so unless there's, like, a really good amount of writing that goes into, like, the how and the why there, most people reading the story are either gonna, you know, write it off as just, like, a one-off goof. And if you're full serious, then you're probably gonna lose some of your more serious fans because, yeah, it didn't make any sense. Oh, hey! I actually need to kill this thing. Oh, shit, it's level 36. Oh, shit! Let's not. Ow.
Hey.
Ow. Yeah, she only ever beats them in her comics. And I think it works in that situation, but I find myself, sometimes reading stories and seeing stuff like that where it's just like, I'm going to beat this, like, end boss thing through the use of whatever, and it's just like, oh, that just feels cheap. You can only peasant railgun so many times before it becomes boring. Okay. Let me see. I'm realizing that this game is just a platform for me to air grievances about anime tropes. I mean, this is... You know what? This is what happens whenever I play an anime game. I absolutely love the idea of a lot of anime. And I watch way too much of it. But I think I sit there just being...
Someone needs assistance.
Being that, like, kind of critic guy that's sitting there just being like, but... It's wrong, it's all wrong! But I keep reading it. I keep consuming that content, even if, you know, I have so many things to just be like, why are you doing this? This could be so much better. Clearly I need to go back to writing my own books. That'd make a difference. Never finish them. Like, 80 pages in my current writing, and it's like, well... I'm definitely better than I used to be, which feels good, but it's like, gosh, it takes forever. Peasant railgun? What? Alright, to explain the peasant railgun, it's effectively cheating the mechanics of D&D and combining it with real-world physics to guesstimate how to make a world-destroying super weapon that is outside the rules. And realistically, to describe what it is first, you take, I'm gonna say, 100 peasants, line them up side by side in Dungeons and Dragons. Totally normal. In Dungeons and Dragons, to pass an item to another character is a free action. Free actions are listed to take no time at all. They're instantaneous, and I think you can do as many of them as you want in a round or something to that extent. But effectively, free actions are there so you can do something very, very quickly without having to worry about it taking up your round. And so, if I stood next... you take two peasants, they can pass one item from one to the other, and that'll be a free action. It takes no time. And so you could potentially have a lineup of 100 peasants and have them pass a rock from point A to point B instantaneously. But it still moves point A to point B. Now, 5 feet, okay, sure, that's fine. 500 feet, that's not so fine. That's a tremendous distance to move an object instantaneously. So the question is, did it teleport, or did it actually move that entire distance? And within real world perspective, moving an object 500 feet in literally no time means that it went faster than light speed, which is insanely fast. And there's a whole lot of physics involved in that process. And I believe the guy from XKCD actually did a comic about this, where it's like, yeah, if you throw a ball at light speed or something like that, what would happen? And effectively would just nuke the entire arena, vaporize the person throwing the ball, and leave nothing left of the person that's supposed to be hitting the ball. Even if they somehow manage to touch the ball with the bat, you'd have to do some real major shenanigans to make the bat survive. Let alone anything else.
Try not to enjoy this too much.
I set the leaves on fire. There we go. There we go. And so the entire point of the Peasant Railgun is you pull it off once in a D&D campaign. Long enough for your...
No one escapes my
long enough for your DM to get a good hearty laugh, it to do one thing, and then after that, you're probably banned from ever doing it again, because that is absolutely, you know, it's... Dungeons & Dragons absolutely has, like, a physics system, but you're really not supposed to mix it with real-world physics, because trying to combine the two leads to a lot of weird inconsistencies, exactly like the Peasant Railgun. And so, as a DM, I've never said this because I don't want to give my players the idea, but if they ever decided to do the Peasant Railgun, even within their own party, they would probably take a shit ton of damage, and it would work. But it would work once, and then after that, the laws of physics change. I did this, to some degree, with an older campaign, where the players miniaturized the thing, put it in a sphere of force, which is literally unbreakable, and then made it big again. Therefore, it got hyper-compressed and exploded. And effectively, my canon is that whenever stuff like this happens that absolutely breaks the laws of physics in a way that D&D does not have a ruling on, I really should probably look at the... Oh, I have to fully charge it. Got it. Let's see. I just rule that effectively whatever deities are in charge of that world decide, yeah, let's rewrite the rules so this doesn't happen again. You get that one freebie, and then after that it's gone. I don't know. Let's see, what else do we got? Got a lot of stuff around here. I'm just exploring. Wasn't a wall. No, it was a sphere. You can use Wall of Force to make a sphere, though. That's the caveat. It works both ways. Oh, that was easy. These are easy. Let's see. Because the other problem is, if you give the players the ability to do the Peasant Railgun over and over and over again, like, what's the point? It's not fun anymore. And so I have that problem with a lot of, like, Deus Ex Machinas. It's just like... in stories, writing, and D&D campaigns, one Deus Ex Machina, okay. Two, maybe okay. By the time you're getting to, like, Deus Ex Machina every single time something happens to a character, that is the only way characters overcome anything, and that always feels really cheap. And not super fun anymore. Hello, chest. I wonder how much Primogen I picked up at this point. In front of you is a danger zone, huh? Could you possibly be? That's the situation. It's not looking good. Hill churls have been increasingly active recently. It's becoming quite a headache. How much I can do beyond warning the adventurers and travelers around here to watch their backs? There's some notes I jotted down. Oh, it's just adventure EXP.
Watch out. It's
Or a
dangerous.
neckerchief. Okay, let's look at the tutorial so we don't have to see this anymore. I do want to kill it. It drops a good thing. Hey, thank you, it's Dusty. For the sub, and welcome. How are you doing this fine and lovely afternoon? Peasant Railgun is more a way to show how poorly the rules are written. Because either you follow through all the way with the rules and throw the rock, which turns into 1die3 damage improvised attack, or the rock is just there and you've moved it around. At most you could use the falling rules, I guess, but those still cap out a specific amount of damage anyway. Oh, absolutely. I just... If my players came up with something like that on their own and wanted to use it totally seriously, like, what's a good example? Well, here's one. If I was doing a D&D campaign and my players said, okay, we want to effectively abuse this thing that we have access to bring a particularly big, I mean, it could be anywhere from like a portal or a bag of holding, but effectively bring a very large amount of explosives or just really heavy stuff, rocks, for example, bring it to the top, way up in the sky, and then drop it on a dragon, a monster, a building that has something in it that they can't get access to normally. As kind of like a crazy breaking and entering scheme. And like the physics of D&D don't really allow for that. It would just do like a bunch of extra damage, max, which like, okay, that's pretty cool. But you know, I'd probably let it just shatter something major all of once, and then after that there'd be harpies up there, or just something basic to say like, cool, you get the one gimme on this crazy idea of yours, and then you're Dunsky. Oh, we're back here. Wow. We went on a journey. Let's go back to town for a second, grab my adventure EXP, and there's a little bit more. I just want to say thanks. Been watching your YouTube channel for a while while procrastinating to avoid college classes. I understand that completely. That's what I used to do. Okay.
I'll catch up.
Let's talk to this character. Is it this character? Oh. Not really anything I'm super interested in, but this is how we get some of the rarer crafting components if we need them.
The neighboring nation of...
Okay. So what I want to do... Nope, not her. It's this character with the gems. Okay. What do we need to ascend her? We need Topaz Sliver. And Amethyst Sliver. Is it worth it? I've got a bunch of these. So I'll get one of each. I don't think I'm going to go for the... for more. I just want to grab these there. You could always have a cost involved. That's true. There are a couple of different ways that it could be done. I just mostly want my players to always be inventive. And if they get complacent and keep resorting to the same dumb tactics over and over again, then either the enemies are going to start doing the exact same thing to them, or there will be some kind of limiting factor that's like, yeah, you can't do this anymore. That's a good example. Well, a long time ago I used to play the Star Wars Roll20 D20 system, which is actually a ton of fun and really well handled-ish. But I used to play that with my brother and my dad a lot, and I remember one of our like go-to tactics after a certain point was we realized grenades weren't actually that expensive. I think that's what it was. But effectively, there were a couple of moments where we just saw like, hey, there's a bunch of enemies in this building that we need to take on. Let's just literally hurl. I think we even built like a makeshift catapult. We would just hurl a box of thermal detonators into the building and then watch it go sky high. Which, like, yeah, you could do that once in a normal campaign. I think we only did it once in that campaign too, and it was cool. But if I was the DM and my players are like, alright, we're gonna do the grenade box strat again, it's just like, I'd have to, like, say no for whatever reason.